Good morning, everyone, and namaste. Thank you, everyone, for joining me, and thank you, ICANN, for giving me this wonderful opportunity. My name is Purnika Khanal from Tribhuvan University, representing Nepal as a NextGen in ICANN 85 program. My topic for today's presentation is Internet Shutdowns, Network Stability, and the Role of ICANN. We'll be looking at this through a data-driven perspective. So, Internet as a critical infrastructure. Let's start with something we all know but sometimes take for granted. The internet has become an essential infrastructure for modern society. It supports financial systems, healthcare, education, and governance. Billions of people rely on it daily for essential services. Yet, Global Stability Index is rarely measured in real time. This gap creates blind spots with serious consequences. So, what happens when the internet goes down? In 2020, 29 countries intentionally shut down or slowed the internet. Over 180 shutdowns were recorded globally. For example, India had 109 shutdowns, Yemen had 6, Ethiopia had 4, and so on. The effects of these shutdowns include economic loss and service disruption. Millions of people were affected who depend on connectivity for daily activities. In a technical perspective, these events leave measurable signatures. We can detect DNS anomalies and routing changes. So, what we can understand is when we understand patterns, we can improve global monitoring for DNS and internet shutdowns. Let me show you what a shutdown looks like from a technical standpoint. This chart shows DNS query traffic over time. 3 observable technical events during a shutdown. First, there's a sudden drop in DNS queries. That's the first indicator that something is wrong. Second, there's a loss of reachability to root and TLD servers. That's when the foundation of internet naming stops responding. Third, abnormal routing changes are detected. Traffic tries to find alternative paths. These technical signatures are vital signs for internet monitoring. By monitoring them, we can detect disruptions as they happen. Let me share a specific example to illustrate this. In January 2026, Iran experienced a nationwide shutdown that was around 3 weeks and were a near total internet blackout. We can see what happens to DNS queries. Previously, the traffic was normal. During the shutdown, the traffic dropped nearly to zero, and afterwards there was gradual recovery. The key takeaway is this: shutdowns leave clear, measurable DNS and traffic signatures. With right monitoring systems, we don't have to guess. We can know when and where disruptions occur as the data tells the story. So, why is DNS so important for monitoring internet stability? We can think of DNS as the internet's vital signs. Every internet request begins with DNS. When we type a website address, DNS is what happens first in the background. Because of this, DNS reflects real user activity across the globe. When there's a disruption in a region, DNS data reveals it immediately. We can observe in the diagram the query goes from client to DNS service provider and then to the server. This entire resolution path is a global observation standpoint. This also detects regional disruptions. This is why DNS data is so valuable for understanding internet health. This brings us to ICANN's role in all of this. ICANN is a technical coordinator for global DNS infrastructure. It oversees the root server system and is the foundation that makes the entire internet naming structure work. Because of this position, ICANN has a unique visibility across the entire naming infrastructure. So, what does this practically mean? ICANN can observe global DNS stability in real time. This capability is unique and extremely valuable as it identifies exactly when, and where the disruptions occur. This positions ICANN to contribute meaningfully to Internet stability monitoring. Based on these observations, this is a proposal for Global Internet Stability Index. This would track four key metrics: DNS query success rate, are DNS requests being answered successfully, root server reachability, can users reach the foundational infrastructure, latency to TLD servers, how quickly is the system responding, and sudden regional traffic drops. Are there unexpected disruptions? The example of healthy infrastructure is in the visual towards the right. There is 97% DNS success rate, 99.8% root server reachability, and so on. These metrics tracked over time gives us a comprehensive view of global internet health. This helps identify problems early before severe disruptions. This transparency could improve resilience across entire internet ecosystem. Let me summarize the key findings. First, shutdowns are measurable at DNS layer. Technical signatures are clear and detectable. Second, ICANN is uniquely positioned to observe stability. Because of its role in coordinating the global DNS infrastructure, ICANN can help us observe the stability of the internet health. Third, DNS data acts as early warning signals for internet disruptions, and Global Stability Index improves resilience by making internet health transparent and measurable. So in the bottom there's a well-known principle: you cannot protect what you cannot measure. So through this research, I have become deeply interested in how we can measure and protect our global internet stability. This is an area I am eager to explore further and contribute to in meaningful ways. So thank you. Thank you so much for your time and attention.
Thank you very much, Purnika. Wonderful presentation. Any questions in the room? Yes, please go ahead there.
Hi, thank you for that wonderful presentation. My 92-year-old doctor and neuroscience friend says human beings for the last few hundred years, we've been great at observation, causation, not so much. What I understand your solution that you're proposing, this measurement, is observation, which we're good at. Do you think it should go as far as to say what the causation is? And or do you think it should go even further, having determined what the causation might be of different things that are observed? Should ICANN, for example, do anything about that, either alerting someone, or is just observation enough? Thank you. Or I should say I'm outside counsel at ICANN.
Thank you for your question. So I don't think it's ICANN's remit to actually be involved in the actual causation. For example, the Iran internet shutdown. So I don't think it's in ICANN's remit to be involved in that. So what it can do is just measure the actual internet health so that the people who actually can get involved in it will get involved in it.
But assuming it knows, so for example, what an observation leads you to say, to speculate about causation, are you saying they shouldn't speculate at all? No further action, just this is what we've observed? And I guess that someone else can tell me, but doesn't ICANN already do that?
Maybe I am not very familiar in this area, but I don't think I can exactly goes towards causation, because the reason for which the event has occurred, I don't think I can actually get involved in it. I think the proposal that I have made, let's just say it's like a concept. It can be implemented, and who can get involved could get involved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have time for maybe one quick question. Dana Kramer, Toronto Metropolitan University. First, I want to say this was an excellent presentation. You did a really great job. And I understand, like with NextGen, sometimes it can be a bit worrying because I actually had a similar presentation to you when I was in this program 2 years ago, presenting some of my PhD research. One thing, and this might get a little bit of frustration around the room, to potentially take into consideration with internet shutdowns. In the next decade, it is possible that there might be concurrent internets. and that countries will connect one internet to their critical infrastructure and another internet to their citizen bodies. It's also not an obtuse idea because over the 20th century, this happened exactly with videotex systems. Canada was actually a leading example in that. In that context, your components about measurement would be very difficult to fully assess because if you have just like one DNS for one internet and a potentially different internets, you might not have all that data that's open to you. And so I was wondering if you could expand out a bit more in potential ideas, and this might get to my roles in the room, but what types of work in multilateralism might be needed then in the context of internet shutdowns, either through treaties to make sure that there is open data repositories so that there can be measurement assessments? Does there need to be a new iteration of the Global Digital Compact as a means to ensure that member nations are identifying these contexts? Does there need to be a new treaty overall? Because if ICANN essentially gets iced out of one internet per country, then how does that work for ensuring that there can at least be connectivity by citizens of the world? Thank you.
So thank you for the question. It was a really interesting perspective. This concept is for the current internet ecosystem, like a single internet, so a single DNS for all over the world. So I haven't really thought about what would happen if every country gets a separate internet. Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's a depressing thought, so I don't blame you.